Alrighty guys, hi, it's Amanda. Hopefully third time's a charm on getting this filmed today for you guys. I want to start off by thanking all of my subscribers or viewers who are here watching this. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, I would like to ask if you could, if you're interested in this kind of information or stories, experiences rather. And if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comment section and I will try to get to them. So this is going to be part 2 of my adoption story. I did part 1 and I will link it up here so you guys can familiarize yourself with who I'm talking about if you haven't been watching my videos. I also have a playlist here on my channel where I talked through what it was like for me to grow up in foster care. Without further ado, I am just going to get into it. So I do want to provide a slight little disclaimer here. I will be providing some input as far as my professional input. If you haven't watched any of my videos, you may not know. I have worked in the child welfare system professionally, so I have a lot of knowledge and experience with both the foster care system and the adoption system. So as I'm discussing anything, if you want any kind of videos explaining different scenarios more in depth or just explaining how things are supposed to go, let me know down below. I'm not opposed to providing those kinds of educational videos, but part of me telling my story is to not only bring awareness and advocate, but to also provide some form of education, whether you are a part of this sphere in any way or if you're not and you're just interested. So as I mentioned, I was in my last video. I'm sorry if this is my third time telling this, so I'm pretty sure I'm probably going to get things mixed up and jump around a little bit, and I'm going to apologize for that right now. So anyways, I'm going to try to move forward. As I mentioned in my last video, I was in 5th grade when I was adopted, and I was adopted by someone who had taught me the last bit of 3rd grade. Now, what I want to reiterate in this, or make clear in this video, is although I knew of the people in the family, I did not actually know the family, and I didn't have like a strong bond or a good connection with really anybody in the family at this point. And I just want that to be known because it kind of provides you some understanding to the feelings that I had, and why some things may have happened the way they did. I don't intend on making this super long, but there's some bits that I feel are necessary to talk about. So if this is a longer video, I'm sorry. I don't know what else to say. So I wish I could tell you guys what the day there, my first day there, felt like. The reality of that is I don't remember. As I've mentioned, it's something that I deal with pretty regularly, that I have a poor selective memory, especially long-term or anything super stressful or traumatic. I have a hard time remembering, and I at times am able to pull those memories and remember them, but I can't with this. I don't know if it was just from sheer overwhelmment or if it's just something that my mind doesn't want me to remember. Not that it was a bad memory by any means, I just don't remember it. So I can't remember that day. However, what I can remember is being dropped off, in the sense of knowing when I was brought to their home. For me and how my story went, I was literally dropped off and left. And I'm laughing, it's not funny. But that's what happened. And I want to bring awareness to this because it's important for people to know that although systems have improved, policies have been put in place, laws have been passed, children have gotten lost while they are in care, while they are in the process of adoption or being adopted for a magnitude of reasons. I'm not going to go into that, but I do want to make it known that that did happen. 20 years ago, I was dropped off at their doorstep, and I think a guardian ad litem, which if you don't know what it is, I can provide a detailed video about what their role is, was a volunteer of guardian ad litem checked on me one time after I was adopted. What? Like, after working in the field, it's crazy that that's how mine went, because that's not customary anymore. There's things that have been put in place because kids did get lost, because tragedies occurred. And it's something that people just need to be aware of. Although it's tragic and it's things you don't want to think about because they're children, they're innocent, no matter what they've experienced to whatever point in their life, you don't want to think something bad happens. Unfortunately, that is the reality, and it's something that I believe people should be aware of. Can happen, still happens occasionally, used to happen a whole heck of a lot more. Now, here's my professional knowledge. It's not done in that way anymore. Typically, whenever an adoption is in the process, there is like little stages. So you'll do just daytime visits, then you'll move to a couple of days at a time, then you'll do overnight visits, weekend visits, week-long visits, and that's to ensure that the child and the family are compatible. Or, as you hear a lot with this whole Micah Stauffer situation, a good fit. Or other channels who are integrated in this system at all. It helps ensure that it is going to be a successful adoption. So things are not done how they were with me. I got very lucky in the family who took me in and adopted me. They were wonderful people, and they've really helped me become who I am today. But it is something that I wanted to bring awareness to. It's also something I wanted to provide a little bit of education on. So moving forward, shortly after I was adopted, I don't remember again the day that I was dropped off in its entirety. I do, and a lot of that is because it was so overwhelming, is the only reason I can think I don't remember. Because here's somebody who has been moved from home to home to home for the past 10 years. There were a few foster homes that I did stay in for a couple of years, but for the most part, I was constantly moving, constantly being disrupted, not ever being able to build a healthy relationship, be able to form natural bonds, which did cause issues in my adoption. It caused behavioral issues. Even when I was adopted and knew, hey, I have a lifelong family now, I have a mom, I have a dad, I have a brother, I have a sister, I still was in the sense of, well, Amanda has to survive. Amanda has to keep out for herself. No one else is going to take care of her. No one else is going to provide her what she needs emotionally, because I hadn't had that. And just because I got adopted, those things did not go away. And I can attest to the fact that my mom and dad had to really, really work with me on my behavior. And my behavior was all over the wall, and it kind of got worse and then it got better, and then it would get worse again, and then it was a roller coaster. And there were other issues in that we'll discuss in further parts, but I was ready to be adopted, but I wasn't at the same time. In care, you want a forever home. You want stability. You don't want to have to start over again. You want to be able to build roots. You want to be able to build friendships, relationships. You want what everybody else has as normal, because you're not considered normal. It's a terrible way to put it. That's how I felt anyways. I felt that my peers didn't understand when I tried to tell them. I was ridiculed. I was bullied. They were 10 or younger. I mean, in hindsight, they couldn't probably fathom because they weren't living it. How could they? And then you have adults who are trying their best to handle me, I shouldn't say you, handle me in a way that they think is appropriate, which isn't always appropriate. They may feel nothing but empathy for you. And then that made me slightly resent some adults because I felt like I was getting different treatment, and I didn't want different treatment. I wanted to be treated normal, like my peers. But because I was in foster care or had just been adopted, I got special treatment. And I'm not saying that in a good way or a bad way. I perceived the way people would look at me as, oh, poor you. Or, what can we do to help? And the only thing that really would have helped for me is that I was able to have normal relationships with people. I hadn't really been taught how to be a friend, how to care about somebody, something as simple as that. I grew up in multiple homes. So going into being adopted, yes, I was happy, but I was petrified. I was absolutely petrified because I wanted to be adopted on one hand, but the other, I just kind of thought, what day is it gonna come that I'm just too much? I'm not worthy of this. I had no self-esteem. I had no self-worth, no skills to build any kind of relationships, let alone a familial relationship, that I just continued to live in this state of, what am I going to do? Which caused behaviors when I was adopted. I know I acted out in sheer attempt to see if they were going to keep me. And as I said, this is just to provide education, but it's sad. Looking back at it and knowing where I'm at today is really hard to really sit down and process. I mean, I've had years to process all of this, and it's just, I understand why adults would feel bad for me. I do. And at the time I didn't understand it. And even as an adult, when I tell this story, or when I tell people I am building a friendship with or anything, and you kind of get to learn everything about someone. One of the things I say is, if I'm going to tell you, don't feel bad for me. Don't pity me, because it has developed me into who I am today. And it has provided things for me. Going through what I have experienced has shaped me to a T. All of the trauma, all of the letdowns, and all of the positives have developed my personality. And I know that's hard to see on camera, but it has. It's developed me in my character. And the adoption that I went through only made things better. The foundation was there when I was adopted. I was not a good kid. I did not have any morals. I did not have any value because I had never been taught them. My mom and my dad spent years, and oh boy, do I mean years, helping me, teaching me. I would, in the beginning years, like I said, I would do just about anything to try and get a reaction. Good, bad, indifferent, just to see. Try and test the waters. And I know that's a part of everybody's childhood, that you test things. Looking back at it, I feel like when I was 10 years old, I had experienced so much and lived such a tale already that I didn't think I'd get the fairy tale. And I couldn't imagine being able to maintain this family, being able to be beneficial to the family, providing anything to the family. In the beginning, it also was different for me. Growing up, I did have foster fathers at times, but I really connected initially to my dad. And I had not really had a father figure. I think something with knowing what he did for a living, he was in the military, and being a really tall guy, that for some reason it provided a sense of safety, physical safety. And that really was the start of me learning how to care for others. Because up until this point, I didn't. I only cared about myself and making sure I made it to the next day. So I know this video is hard. I know there's parts that people don't want to come to terms with. I know I was scatterbrained throughout all of it, and I hope it makes some form of sense to some of you. I believe I'm gonna stop there. I'm at like 18 minutes. I could continue to tell this. This is an issue I have with trying to break this up into parts, because it all kind of coincides together. Obviously, it's my experience, my life, but I do need to find a stopping point. So I am gonna stop there. If there's anything that I discussed or I mentioned that you want professional knowledge about, like videos, educational videos, just leave it down in the comments. I can post those, but as of right now, this is what I'm going to be kind of focusing on. I have done a couple of commentary things, and I might continue that if anything sparks my interest enough. But I don't know. Like I said at the beginning, this is my third time trying to film this. First two times I thought I was recording and I wasn't. And then, trying to figure technology out is not always the best. But I'm going to stop rambling, and I'm going to wish you guys a good day, evening, or night, wherever you are in the world. If you are new here, go ahead and subscribe and like the video, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.